Hello everyone. In this screencast, I am going to demonstrate Squerall's various aspects of extensibility. First, what is Squerall? Squerall is an implementation of the so-called semantic data lake concept, which allows the querying large and heterogeneous data sources in a uniform way using one unique core language, which is Sparkle. Listeners interested in how Squerall can be used can refer to the dedicated screencast that can be found in the same location where this screencast is found. The audience of this screencast are developers. So, Squerall can be extended in two different ways. One is supporting more data sources, and two, adding another query engine. Squerall uses Apache Spark and Presto to execute the queries. So, the first extensibility aspect is how to add more sources that Apache Spark and Presto can access, and the second extensibility aspect is what other query engine alongside Apache Spark and Presto one can use to query these large and heterogeneous data sources. We will start with supporting more data sources. This depends on the query engine that is used, Apache Spark or Presto. We will start with the easiest, which is Presto. In order to add a support for more data sources, all you need is to create a plain text file. This can be found in Presto installation folder, etc folder, catalog folder, and then you add a new properties file. As you can see here, I have 4 data sources configured: Cassandra, Hive, Mongo, and MySQL. For example, here you can see the name of the connector, the URL of the JDBC database to access, which is MySQL in this case, and the user and password. Same goes for Cassandra, for example. You give a name to the connector and some other options, which is here, like the context point, which is the host where Cassandra is installed. So to add supporting new data source, you head to connectors web page, which is under the Presto website. You can see here all the data sources that are supported. All you need is to go inside and create the properties file and add the needed configuration options. The second data source extensibility option is using Apache Spark. Unlike Presto, if you want to add a new data source in Spark, you have to code. Unfortunately, that is very easy to do. All you need to do is to go into this Spark executor and add a new case. For example, you can see here the data sources that are supported: CSV, Parquet, Cassandra, Elasticsearch, etc. So what you need to do is to add a new case statement, the data source, and how a data frame can be created. Just follow the rest. For more details, I encourage you to read the documentations, but the principle is that you create a data frame from a data source using a Spark connector. Where our Spark connectors can be found, you head to sparkpackages.org and you go to data sources, and you can see already that there are 52 data sources that can be connected to. So all you need is, if you want to add support to Solr, you need to go into there and follow the documentation from there. And you head to where to create a data frame. And in principle, it should be similar to the other cases. Spark, create, format, Solr options. Yeah. Which is, as you can see here, Spark create options, Spark create options, Spark create format, etc. And now we are done with how can you support a new data source in both Presto and Spark as query engines. The question is now, how can you support a data source that is not part of Spark packages or connectors? or the same for Presto. In this screen recording, I am giving a guideline for how to add a new data source or how to support a new data source in Apache Spark. So the principle is the same. We need to create a data frame starting from a data source. So for this, we have developed a new connector, which is nt2df. This stands for entryable to data frame. So for this, we are supporting RDF data that is in entriples serialization. So what we are doing is that we are reading nt file and doing a lot of Spark transformations to at the end generate a data frame, and that data frame is type data frame. And you can check out the source code for more detailed overview, but the principle is that this connector, this class, whatever you structure your code in, should return a data frame. So we followed on the same data frame creation fashion, and we suggested this way. So basically, you need to create a data frame from the connector. The connector is instantiated just before, and we give options, and then the source path where the entriples file is, and Spark URI, and then we create the data frame. So you can see that it is similar to other cases, where options is a map that holds access information read from the text file that is called config, one of the three input to provide to Squerall. We have these options map that holds values needed to query a data source. For RDF, for example, here we want to load a person data frame from all the person typed resources. And this concludes the first extensibility aspect, which is how to add support for a new data source. Now we move to the second extensibility aspect, which is how you add a new engine. Squerall's code is structured in a way that it's modular. It allows to add a new new query engine without touching the upper layers. There's a separation of concerns here between query analysis and result reconciliation and data extraction from the actual physical data source. So in order to add a new query engine, one needs to implement this interface. So the code is in Scala. So you have a bunch of methods that you need to implement. Here we have a Spark executor and a Presto executor, both of which implements this interface, query executor, and actually give implementation for all the required methods. And all the rest, all the other classes remain untouched. And this should conclude my screencast. For more details, please refer to the documentation.